heathen. I'm just trying to get excited about pre-runners, Lawson.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, action!
I don't need your action. I can make my own video. You're not even my real dad.
Right on the fucking set.
If you're anything like me, then you probably spent your childhood playing with trucks and tractors in the dirt. I've got many hours mobbing through the dirt on my hands and knees, and while most of these Tonka trucks were pretty freaking cool, there's one of them that sticks out in my memory unlike any other. It was an old square body looking Chevy pickup truck on these massive mud boggers, and of course, it had a massive lift kit. Although things have changed and the toys that most of us are not playing with are bigger and much more expensive, like my Duramax, that obsession with lifted trucks really never went away. But there's one type of build that just gets me every single time. Every time. These long travel suspension, big tire, small wheel having off-road machines have a special place in my heart, and they probably always will. But where did they come from? What makes them so special? And for God's frickin' sake, why are they so damn cool? I'm Dustin with Custom Offsets. You guys can follow me on Instagram at dusty.co, and today we're having a quick little chat and going over just why you may want a pre-runner build. Roll the intro. For the first time ever, I can actually say that before we jump into this one because, well, pre-runners jump harder than the ever popular Ford Raptor video. You guys know what I'm talking about, where they like launch it in the airbags. It's great. If you're brand new to the channel and this is your first time watching one of our videos, then hey man, welcome. Thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoy the channel.
Thanks. I'm glad you came along, partner.
If you've been here before, then hey, welcome back. It's good to see you. As a reminder that if you guys are looking for wheels and tires, a lift kit, or other mods like performance parts, lighting products, and the likes, whether that be for a pre-runner or not, go ahead and click that link down below in the description or just head on over to customoffsets.com. It's pretty awesome. Great place, you should check it out. Also, we've been building another SEMA truck for SEMA this year. So if you haven't seen those videos yet, we'll link one of them down in the description for you as well. It's this one right here behind me that you maybe can see, but maybe can't see. Either way, it's really cool. So let's talk about pre-runners. First and foremost, what the heck is a pre-runner anyway? While the term is thrown around a lot in the industry, there are not too many people who actually know what it means. Word on the streets is that the term pre-runner comes from the racing world, where these vehicles are used to actually pre-run an off-road race course. We're talking things like trophy trucks, off-road Ultra 4 cars, stuff like that. Baja 1000 type stuff. The stuff that we all wish that we could play with, but most of us can't afford. RIP. See, most of these race teams have a separate secondary vehicle that is built in a similar fashion to their actual race truck. These pre-runner vehicles allow race teams to drive the course and get familiar with the terrain in a vehicle that's going to handle similarly to the race truck without risking the entire prized race truck, and that way you don't have the opportunity to wad it up into a twisted ball of steel and broken components like prior to the big dance. You don't want to do that. It's a bad day. As desert racing grew in popularity, these pre-run vehicles continued to grow, and much like everything else in the world, if it looks cool and people like it, it's bound to show up everywhere. As the desert racing scene exploded in Southern California, people outside of just race teams began craving this purpose-built truck style, but in a street-legal configuration. And thus, the pre-runner scene was born. So what makes a pre-runner so damn appealing? What makes these slightly awkward looking trucks so popular with their wide set front wheels and oftentimes Cali leaned or Carolina squatted appearance? For pre-runners, it's all about functionality. Even if you're not on a pro race team, pre-runners by nature are designed to be ripped through the desert, taking all of those bumps and rough terrain in stride and ultimately leaving you ripping through the desert at Mach 10 and still being able to run up the 5 to LA if you need to make a business call. Prerunners are going to typically feature a long travel suspension, widened track width on the front end, and of course, big ol' all-terrain or even in some cases, mud terrain tires on a smaller wheel for more of that off-road style look. Additionally, most Prerunner builds are going to feature some sort of wider bodywork than factory. This is going to help not only with the clearance for that wider suspension and bigger wheels and tires, but it also looks freaking badass. Like, I've yet to see a Prerunner style build with wide fenders that just doesn't look wicked cool rolling down the road. Look at all the cool stuff RK Sport is doing. I'm convinced that you cannot have an ugly Prerunner. It's just not possible, right? It just doesn't exist. So let's say you want to build a Prerunner. First of all, what kind of truck are you even looking for? Well, there are several extremely custom builds out there. It seems the most popular builds are going to be based off either the Ford Ranger or the one and only iconic Toyota Tacoma platform. Not only did these trucks make up the majority of the sportsman racing classes between the early 80s and the mid 2000s, but they're also one of the most inexpensive trucks to build into a Prerunner style build. In more recent years, we're also seeing full-size Prerunner builds pop up with F-150s, Chevy 1500s, and of course, who could forget the iconic Raptor? So what about suspension setups, right? What should you be looking for if you crave that off-road dirt slinging goodness of a Prerunner? Well, for starters, let's just have a quick chat about lift kits, right? That's probably where most of this starts. While sure, a standard lift kit might give you the look of a Prerunner, if you want to walk the walk when it comes to Prerunners, you're going to be looking for a long travel suspension kit. Now, long travel suspension kits are different because, ready for this, it's groundbreaking, they have longer travel than a standard lift kit, hence the name. This is important for two reasons. Reason number one, the faster you want to go, the more suspension travel that you're going to need because the quicker you're going to take the bumps. Number two, when you launch this thing off of a sand dune, you're going to want to make sure that you have a nice soft landing when you come back down so your airbags don't go off and break your freaking nose. For this reason, long travel lifts are going to feature longer than normal upper control arms as well as lower control arms, a longer coilover up front, remote reservoirs, and other features to help them ensure that your truck is set up to handle all of the abuse that you're inevitably going to throw at it if you build a Prerunner. Unfortunately, like everything in life, if you get more, it's also going to cost you more, and it's quite a bit more if we're talking long travel lift kits, where an average lift kit can cost you somewhere between $1,500 and $3,000, long travel kits can be upwards of 10 grand or more. Other build parts are going to include things like aggressive, minimalistic styled bumpers like the ones that ADD makes to lower approach and departure angles, lights on lights on lights so you can see where you're going when you're shredding the dunes in Southern California in the dark, and of course, function over form inspired wheels and tires, with most guys running like 9 or 10 wide wheels, usually not bigger than 20 inches in diameter. Wrapping around those wheels is usually 35s or bigger, and again, we're talking all terrains or in some extreme cases, mud terrains depending on where you're located. While there are plenty of guys that are actually using their trucks to like shred the gnar in the desert, there are just as many who are inspired by the Prerunner look, but are taking cues to build their trucks on maybe a street truck style setup. Take this one, for example, which combines the styling cues of a Prerunner with a larger polished wheel and tire combo, and in my opinion, it just looks really freaking cool. Or this one, which is about as perfect built as it gets. It's like the polar opposite of my truck, and it looks fantastic. With all that being said though, why would you want a Prerunner? Well, I can't say for certain. What I can say is that the Prerunner guys are some of the most fun people that I've ever met in my life. Period. These guys spend every weekend that they can running through the desert, jumping sand dunes, shredding the flat, wide open desert to the southwest, and throwing rager parties in the middle of nowhere with a circle of trucks and UTVs and dune buggies and other awesome off-road capable vehicles that look great, function fantastically, and are just an absolute blast to drive. What do you guys think? Would you build a Prerunner, or are they more not your style? Let us know down in the comment section below, and as always, be sure to like the video and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. With that, I'm Dustin with Custom Offsets. We'll see you guys on the next one.